Welcome everybody here to the Sports Talk Network channel, and specifically here tonight, Steve's Wrestling Ramble, with a podcast that I talk WWE news and notes, a little bit Raw and SmackDown. Usually, if I have my team members here, they would tell me their thoughts on it because, as you know, the viewers know that I do a Raw and SmackDown live reviews. Raw right after the show at 10 p.m. Central, and then SmackDown live at 10 p.m. Central, 1 hour after the show, because right after the show, I go live with the SmackDown live review over at Talking WWE with Jay. Again, that is Talking WWE with Jay. I'm always a part of their shows, hosting the SmackDown Live review and being a co-host for Thursday Layback Thursday over there. And in a sense, that's what Steve's Wrestling Ramble is going to become now for this podcast, kind of like a Layback Thursday, but in my own way, in my own rambling way, of course, where people that are watching live, people that might join the show, topics you want to bring up, and it doesn't even have to be WWE. Heck, it doesn't even have to be pro wrestling if you don't want to. If you want to get crazy and talk about true randomness, true rambling about things, you can ask me things or talk about things. I really don't care. One thing I do care about is hopefully I can get enough subscribers to get to the next plateau. I got to 100 subscribers. Right now I'm at 184, and I hope to get to 200. And when I get to 200 subs, I don't mean 200 subscribers, I mean 200 subscribers here on the YouTube. I will be doing a live, well, everything I do is live, so it's not a special, but still a live Q&A video then. And people have already sent in questions. I wrote some of them down in my handy dandy notebook. And for those that get that reference, awesome. Let me know in the comment section below this video or in the live chat. Let me know if you picked up on what I was laying down there with the handy dandy notebook reference there to a childhood show I used to watch. And if you didn't get it, I'll share what it is in my next video tomorrow when I'm talking about Star versus the Forces of Evil video that I'll be doing tomorrow. So, or I can just say it now. Handy dandy notebook from Blue's Clues. I don't know if anybody watched Blue's Clues back in the day, or maybe you're too manly now to say now that you ever did, but I'm not. I like this show. Love it. I don't think it's going on anymore, but point is that's where I got it from, and that's what I'm doing. I have already a couple of questions from people written in my handy dandy notebook, in a notebook that I actually have, and it is a legitimate notebook that I have. And wrote down some questions that people already have for me for my live video that will be my Q&A after and hopefully I get to the 200 subscriber next plateau, next mark for me, next rung there in the chain of command. So they go and try to get to 1K, 1,000 subscribers. And then the super chat and go from there. So appreciate those who are watching live, those who are watching archive. Welcome to like the video, share the video. If you are part of the live chat, I'm going to share your thoughts on things, bring up topics, whatever you want to talk about, let me know. I did send the invite to people, or my friends and my co-hosts, of course, Karen Chase and Mark Ramble, if they are able to join, but they have school now. It is a school year for people, high school, college, and otherwise, that they're busy hunkering down on that, so they might not be joining every single week. So hopefully Josh at Chief Trazola and maybe Mountain's Corner or Blue X Demon X, and welcome. They're welcome to be on the show as well. Anybody really, if you care to. But today, like I said, just talking about most news and notes, since it is just me. If you did want to share your thoughts, again, if you're watching live, your thoughts are archivable. Your thoughts on Raw and SmackDown. I thought the shows were pretty dang good, but like I said, I already did reviews for both shows. So here I'm just going to be talking about news and notes that I deem worthy to bring up. And one thing I did notice here from, I see my co-host. I was just talking about it. My co-host being busy with school and other stuff, bogged down. It is the school year, but I do appreciate Kyron Chase's co-host being able to stop by forever, how long he is able to. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing great, Steve. How are you?
I'm doing fabulous. I'm doing well. I guess talking about Raw and SmackDown, since I told the audience that's now that I review the shows each and every week, I don't really get into it as much on my podcast episodes as I used to. So now Steve's Wrestling Ramble is kind of turning into like a laid back kind of talk about news and notes and other randomness and rambling that we care to do. But for your sake, and since you are able to join us, and I thank you for that, what were your thoughts First Monday Night Raw, then SmackDown Live. Anything and everything that you want to speak on, the floor is yours.
Well, with Raw, I like the John Cena Roman Reigns segment again. WWE really has to think about how they're gonna handle this because Cena's just destroying Roman Reigns each and every week on the mic. Because whether you like both of them or you don't, you gotta admit Cena's the better of the two on the microphone. And if you script them both, even if you give Roman a better script, John's so good at ad lib, he can still win. He can still win these segments. And if you let him go off the top and without a script, John's definitely gonna win. So I like that segment, especially with John. Roman kind of made himself look dumb, as John said, "You're burying yourself." When he said, "I've had more great matches in the last 2 years than you have in your whole career," which is false. And then he said, "You take yourselves are doing better because of me," when it actually works because there are empty seats at Raw and SmackDown. And John saying how basically John's like a drug test to Roman, and Roman can't pass, and that was I don't believe Vince wrote that. I think John said that without Vince letting him. Braun Strowman destroying Brock Lesnar again was great. Of course it was. What else? I know I'm missing something on Raw that I like too, but those are the main two segments I really liked from Raw. And as for SmackDown, what happened on SmackDown? Everything Kevin Owens did was brilliant. The stuff with Daniel Bryan and Vince McMahon, and also the tag team title match for the Street Fight was a really good match. Usos and New Day have been killing it every match they have, especially the Battleground, SummerSlam, and Street Fight. And I really think they should stop the rivalry right here because I don't think they can top it.
I guess from Monday Night Raw, what did you think of Braun Strowman crushing Brock again?
It was great. Braun Strowman is literally the best thing in WWE, and of course, I want him to win at No Mercy. He probably won't. Win or lose, as long as they keep booking him like this. Strowman had the sky's the limit for Braun Strowman. He's gonna be one of the biggest stars in WWE if they keep booking him like this. And he's like, I remember when Braun Strowman first started, no one liked him because he was clumsy in the ring. It wasn't that good. He could have gone a great Kyle Lee route and continued to be poor, but he improved and became one of their best wrestlers and definitely one of the best big men in a long time.
Yeah, and from what I've been seeing, especially with Braun Strowman getting the upper hand weeks and weeks, and might even again on the go home show just next week. So next week, I guess another prediction show coming around here in Steve's Wrestling Ramble. We'll be predicting No Mercy. As of right now, Mounty's Corner might be joining us or joining me for that episode. Hopefully, Kyron and Mark and everyone else is welcome to join as well if they are so able to. But anyways, with that being the go home show, Raw, will Braun get over not a big show, Brock Lesnar again, heading into their title match at No Mercy. And if that's the case, I'm going to be saying on the prediction show that with everything that happened in this build heading into WWE No Mercy, I think Brock Lesnar probably, and again, I'm saying this at this moment, it could change when we get to next week, obviously, next Thursday for the prediction episode. But right now I'm saying Brock Lesnar is going to retain because of everything with Braun Strowman getting the upper hand and Brock being decimated, unless WWE goes the route, which they obviously could, with just Braun just bulldozing Brock for all this week for the build, and then the match itself, like not even the reverse booking thing, or reverse thinking as all WWE fans have now been trained to do with predicting pay-per-views and how feuds are heading into the show, and usually that logic works for predicting most matches as we have in the past. With other prediction episodes and other predictions of other pay-per-views, whether it's the big shows or other shows, that's usually how the cookie crumbles. So if that's the case with Braun, then Mr. Lesnar may still be Universal Champion. And for those that don't like Lesnar, which I respect that, he might be our WWE Universal Champion all the way to WrestleMania. And then at that time, that other guy that people don't like, Roman Reigns, will be the new Universal Champion. So that's going to be interesting for those people that have equal hate or dislike, I should say, strong dislike for Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. So that certainly would be interesting. That's just how Stevie K here sees it in regards to that. I know I talked on the wrong review, but that's just terms of, do you think that probably is going to be the case? Even if we see something for Brock actually getting some offense on Raw in the go home, that with all the Braun kicking ass sort of thing in the last couple of weeks, that it probably looks like Brock is going to retain.
Sadly, yes. And here's the thing about that is this. This isn't gonna get Roman over. This is gonna make people hate him more. Well, I don't hate him personally. Think of it this way: WWE will be sacrificing Samoa Joe, Braun Strowman, and John Cena too, just to get Roman Reigns over, which isn't gonna work. Strowman is the most over person in WWE, and if they really have Lesnar beat him, and then Strowman not getting a rematch or any type of get away with his heat back, and then Roman goes to WrestleMania and beats Brock Lesnar, then everyone's gonna hate him. And uh, I'll save that. I'll say what I'm gonna say about him and Cena for next week.
Okay, yeah, and this. I know I was watching Good Mic Work, his recent video on YouTube. Kyron and everybody else is welcome to check that out again. Good Mic Work, spelled as it sounds. Good Mic Work here on YouTube. He had his most recent video earlier today that I watched before heading to work, and he was talking about how that WWE should pull the trigger and have Braun Strowman win at No Mercy, and if WWE is still so hard on getting and having Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, they can still have Brock get the title back. I think he said Royal Rumble or sometime around there, and get the title back, and then have that match and have Roman go over at WrestleMania if that's what WWE and Vince McMahon's heart desires. Again, I'm just paraphrasing. You watch the episode again. Good Mic Work commentaries. Good Mic Work commentaries here on YouTube. Friend of the show, and also the 2017 Royal Rumble pool winner for Steve's Wrestling Ramble for the Rumble pool. As we slowly get to 2018 Royal Rumble, to the next Rumble pool here for this podcast in this channel. But that's what his thoughts are. What are your thoughts, Kyron, on his thoughts from Good Mic Work on him saying, pull the trigger, have Braun Strowman be the champion. If you still want Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, you can still have that to be your heart's desire and Roman going over. But he thinks that it's just how they've been pushing Braun that it would be, I think, paraphrasing in his words, again, you have to watch the commentary video on his channel, but kind of stupid if they have Braun lose at No Mercy. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm with him. I mean, I want Braun to win the title because I feel like he deserves it. All the hard work he's put in and proving how dominant they've made him. The quote Brian Zane Freshman will regret. Braun Strowman is the hero we need, but not the one we deserve. I feel like he should be the Universal Champion, but I don't think it's gonna happen. And with Roman, I just like to read a Facebook post I saw from a person on Facebook named Marcus Egg.
Okay.
Quote, it's the most about Cena and Reigns. It's the most predictable match of all time. Even if you are deaf, blind, and did not watch WWE for over 5 years, you already know they won't even think about having Roman lose this one. Cena is trying to get Roman over, kind of last resort after everyone else failed, and they can't just give up here by having Cena beat him. They won't turn him heel. That's just not happening. Consider how mighty his merch sales power is. So why even have this match? The promos were really good. Got me invested. When I think about it, now who actually could see Cena winning? Ludicrous at best, stupid at worst, unquote. And as you know, I'm a huge John Cena fan, and the way he's been killing on the mic in this promo. I mean, in this feud, I want him to win, but if he doesn't win, it means like everything he said about Roman doesn't matter. And so you kind of book yourself into a corner with this one. But I still think Reigns is going to win.
Yeah, I agree there 100%. And it seems like, even as you were talking there, I'm thinking, the build-up to this feud, since there's no real, or at least unless I missed it, true actual physical interaction like we've seen with Braun and Brock, and we already obviously discussed about that, how that build's been favored heavily to Braun Strowman, which us thinking probably Brock will retain. Here in the John Cena Roman Reigns feud heading into WWE No Mercy, that will be on the WWE Network next Sunday, 24th of September, that it's John Cena getting Roman Reigns at every turn, and that's how it's supposed to be, scripted that way. But still, that's how it's been booked. John Cena getting the biggest turn, and winning these promo battles, and the promo battles being its own build-up to the pay-per-view event. Unlike with Brock Lesnar and Braun Strowman, and with most other feuds, I would say 70 or 80% of most other feuds in WWE being building a feud of actual physical interaction or other matches or this and that, or one screwing the other over in another person's match, yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. But that didn't happen. Jason Jordan faced them both and lost to both, and then the other came out to jaw jack with said other in the past 2 weeks, obviously, as we saw in that greatness. Still on top of what happened a couple weeks ago at the contract signing, but still continuing on. So these promo segments, and it seems obvious in that sense, and even as I'm thinking about it here, rambling as well right now about it, that being its true build, not actually having a physical interaction or someone got the upper hand that way. No, it's John Cena getting the upper hand on Roman Reigns in promo, and that's how it is to be, and that's how it's being booked, and it's working out that way for them when we get to No Mercy in the WWE Network on September 24th. Central. Then we have Roman Reigns going over John Cena getting a win. I don't know if I agree 100% if everything that John Cena said would be null and void if he lost. It would be, though, if it was a squash match. Now, obviously, I don't see that happening. If that did happen and I had a live reaction, you'd see my jaw drop sort of thing. Or I'd have those 10-second video things if I could. Like you had sometimes after matches during pay-per-views of reaction, and mine would be of just simply shaking my head and saying, "Are you serious?" If it was a squash match, then I would agree with you. And those that say that things that John Cena have said and have with winning the promo battles heading into No Mercy would mean Jack. You know what? If Roman Reigns defeats John Cena at said pay-per-view in a squash match, meaning at least to me a squash match in this situation, this feud being under 2 minutes. And beating John Cena that easily, or maybe a little bit longer, but John Cena only getting a couple moves in. Excuse me. When John Cena and Brock Lesnar had that match at SummerSlam. So either way, however that would be, I certainly would be then in that camp. But if it goes to longer matches, I would expect it to be 20, 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes if it's going to be the main event. Having Roman go over then in a hard-fought match, then I wouldn't say that to be the case, that in the end Roman just won the match. And go ahead.
Oh, well, the thing is, one thing I think it probably wouldn't look good, well, I'm all for wrestling showing respect, is Roman beat Cena.
I told you he was going to have color rush.
Okay. Sorry about that. But if Roman beat Cena and say after the match he say it's the handshake, that after everything Roman said, especially saying, I respect you less than I respect the Miz. After one match and now you respect him, I think it's gonna look really contrived. It wouldn't work. And like I said, John said so much. I mean, Roman said stuff too, but the things John has said, especially, you can't do your job right, and you're burying yourself, and you're making the same excuses everyone else makes. And I think I didn't touch on this last time. Is that Roman is basically saying the same stuff the Miz and AJ Styles said, but the problem is Roman is basically John Cena 2.0 with less charisma and charm. That's number one, and number two, when both Miz and AJ, especially Miz, are better on the mic than Roman are. And when they said things like, "Oh, you hold people back," well, I don't believe he holds people back. You believed it because of how they came up. While Roman, people say John, the way he was pushed, Roman was pushed even faster than John was. So when Roman says, you all the breaks you have, I'm thinking, he has had a lot of breaks, Roman, but John at least it took him a while, like a good 3 years before he got the title. It took you, what, 2 maybe? And so that really just doesn't work for me, when he says that, because like when AJ and Miz said it, you believed it. But with Roman, it's just like, do you really mean that, Roman? And when John, his comebacks are even so much better, you forget what Roman said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's for sure. And it certainly seems like that's just the way it's been booked. And like I said, heading to the pay-per-view, it looks like Brock and Roman Reigns are going to be getting the W's at No Mercy for the 2-man match, like the 2-match card there, but those 2 matches being the main showcase. Also, I don't think the Miz, at least I missed something again as well. The Intercontinental Championship up for grabs. We might have another Miz Taraj versus Jeff Hardy and somebody match again, pre-show or otherwise, to continue, because in that own sense, it's like its own storyline between the Miz and Kurt Angle, like it was with the Miz and Daniel Bryan over on SmackDown Live. That situation over there. So, be interesting if that was the case over on Monday Night Raw with the Miz and Kurt Angle, and I get that respect, not having the championship matches for a while, because I think in the NWE wants to have the Miz hold on to the title for as long as they can have him. I don't think it'll be to WrestleMania. That'd be a little too long of a reign for the Miz, as well as he is doing it. Congratulations, also, they said on the Raw review to the Miz and Maurice
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, absolutely. Congratulations to Mike and Maurice. They just congratulations. You deserve to be. You seem like you're in love. Congratulations on the kid. Miz is honestly the third best person in WWE on the mic. You got Heyman 1 and Cena 2 and Miz 3. And the way Miz is touring the Enzo on Monday was just great. I'm upset they don't have anything for Miz and No Mercy because last year No Mercy Miz had one of the top 10 matches of the year with Dolph Ziggler, and now this year they're not giving him anything. And on SummerSlam he was on a pre-show. He was on a pre-show with less than a few hundred people seeing it. So Miz deserves more right now.
Yeah, I agree 100%. What are your thoughts on this? And initially, I was thinking, I don't know if I remembered seeing it in the Raw review. Feels like it's forever ago. But anyways, on Monday night, saying and noticing that the Miz did make that one comment to the Miz. The Miz making it to Enzo, of course, not to himself, but to Enzo. He has so much potential and just hates seeing him ruin it and this and that. Do you see Enzo Amore being part of the Miz Taraj and the Miz Taraj or the Miz himself helping Enzo Amore win the World Wrestling Entertainment Cruiserweight Championship at WWE No Mercy?
I feel if Enzo wins the Cruiserweight Championship in No Mercy, well, the little momentum the Cruiserweights do have is all going to be, going to die from that. Because while Enzo has more personality than almost anyone in the Cruiserweight division, probably other than Neville, he's the least. All right, he's the least good, best technician. He's probably the weakest wrestler in the division. So, I would hope not. I don't think the way, especially after how Miz destroyed him after the match. For talking about Maurice and his kid. I doubt that. And here's a funny thing. It's funny how they try to make Enzo like a babyface on Raw. When he just interrupted Miz for no reason. Think about it. Miz made the biggest announcement of his life. He and his wife are expecting their first child. And he did. I mean, there's nothing wrong about that. There's nothing heel about it. And Enzo just interrupted it just like that. So, how is Enzo supposed to be the babyface in this situation? Miz did nothing wrong. I was rooting for him.
Yeah, well, I don't. I mean, even as they brought up, Enzo was like, "Hey, he's a kid. It was he was supposed to be out anyways, right? So it's less of a kind of interrupting and just coming out earlier than supposed to, because we're supposed to introduce him and this and that and random stuff. But however, that was supposed to be said. But the point being is, with Enzo, I actually could see that happening. And if Enzo wins the Cruiserweight Championship by any other way, but the Miz him dang self or the Miz Taraj in totality, helping Enzo win the championship at No Mercy. If anything else but that situation and scenario happening for Enzo to win the title and he just straight up wins the title even dirty in a different way, then I will have words to say on my review that night, Sunday night. Now I won't be throwing things and cursing like I say there, like I'm sure other YouTubers would if that would be the case. I know Good Mike works that he would be pissed off and upset if Enzo won. Just in general, he said overall. But me, I'm saying right here live, hopefully people can understand the words that are coming out of my mouth clear as day. If Enzo Amore wins the WWE Cruiserweight Championship by any other way but the Miz himself or the Miz Taraj in totality, helping him win that said championship, if it happens any other way, then my well-natured, shy self, kind self, whatever self, will have myself many words to say about that outcome when we get to the review that night. Beyond the other things that would happen, might happen at the event. That would be the foremost first thing I'll be bringing up. So hopefully everybody that's watching live or archive will be thinking of me during that match. Maybe hoping one way, maybe actually hoping for Enzo to win any other way but what I said, and win the championship, only for the pure fact of wanting to see me then come on this channel, be a man of my word, and have those words. Because trust me, I mean it. I will. When we
that's saying something come from you. No, keep it muted. That's saying something coming from you, Steve. You're one other than me. You swear the least amount on the show, other than me, who doesn't swear at all. And you have said plenty of times on the show. Heck, my first time being here on the show, you said how you really couldn't care less about the cruiserweights, and the fact that the cruiserweight match might get you this riled up is saying a lot. I wouldn't hold your breath. Unlike like when we picked on Mike because about gender and Randy, which none of us really believed would happen.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't happening. If Enzo does by some miracle win the cruiserweight title at No Mercy, like I think it'd probably be the one of the few nails in the coffin of the cruiserweight division. So I doubt they're gonna put the title on Enzo. But then again, more people are starting to watch 205 Live because of him. So maybe
I know I have.
I haven't. I'm still not watching 205 Live. Unless they maybe move it to Full Sail, that's about it.
Stop right here.
Come on, you see
Yeah,
him talking.
that's understandable. I mean, I've been watching more often because of Enzo Amore now being part of the cruiserweight division and seeing his goofy self on there and whatever. And I respect Enzo as the talent that he is, at least on the mic. He is very entertaining, more entertaining than I guess I would say myself, because he has that passion in that way. And Mike, yeah, sometimes his mouth writes checks his ass can't cash in reality, not just storylines, but in reality sometimes too. In WWE in the locker room backstage, being like the Miz of the past, which is interesting because Miz even said that, in the promo in the segment there with the Miz and Enzo. That's why I think maybe, just maybe, that would be the one way to have Enzo Amore win the cruiserweight title at No Mercy. And again, if that happens that way, then I'll be fine with it and maybe have a little gripe about it on my review. But overall, I'll be like, okay, I thought and I kind of saw this coming this way and brought it up and blah, 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 and other things. And I'm sure I'll say it again at the prediction episode next week, verbatim or otherwise. But yeah, I know it's kind of confusing and surprising to me that I'm getting riled up with the cruiserweight division because I've had things to say about the cruiserweight division in the past. Again, like you said, the first time you were on here and other times before then and after of this cruiserweight division and how it was supposed to be and with the tournament and then going into the division and it being Raw exclusive. And then we had the brand extension and then the other things going on. Superstar shakeup and thinking that maybe it will actually go to SmackDown Live and let them be there since they have 205 Live. They might as well be on SmackDown Live and 205 Live. They're not have to do extra traveling, in other words, for these live shows for 205 Live with the namesake there. So, but with Enzo Amore being part of it, it actually has drawn at least me specifically more or to 205 Live. No, not to say that I've been watching full episodes of 205 Live every week. Some I have, some I haven't. Some I sometimes watch just for Enzo. Some I watch for maybe even other matches, actually, especially recently this week. Excuse me, with Brian Kendrick. With Brian Kendrick's situation there. With dang it, I forgot his name. But anyways, with that going on there in 205 Live, actually that was piqued my interest while I was watching, waiting. And I'm watching for Enzo. So Enzo is drawing me in, this fan at least, one of the millions and millions fans of the WWE here, part of the WWE universe. So in that way, and in the fact that he does still pro good merch money for WWE, making them dollars for the company, which is the bottom line in the way to WWE and Vince McMahon of how a talent is beyond other skills and actually being good in the ring itself and getting over. But with Mercedes and Enzo being what he has been in that sense, that's probably why he's been able to get away a little bit from his, let's just say, transitions and issues backstage and being annoying or rubbing people the wrong way in that way, where to the higher ups of corporate in WWE, at least for now, I mean, I would say I'm not them, so I'm not meaning to speak for them. It's just what I assume that, they let Enzo down a little bit because of the fact that he is and still has and make money for them even after the split with Big Cass and everything. And it's still unfortunate with Big Cass being out for so long. I mean, it's already getting to the point, even only now, it's only a couple of weeks, or it feels like only a couple of weeks since that injury actually occurred. And I've already forgotten about him too, a little bit, unfortunately. The fact that the Miz brought him up, well, yeah, Big Cass, yeah, I remember him. He's supposed to get this big push, might become Universal Champion by mid-2018. But we'll see how that goes when he does come back, whenever that to be. But point being is with Enzo Amore and him being in the Cruiserweight division, it has actually made me watch. Even more so than having Neville as the champion. Having Neville, remember back when Neville, when he was to come back, we were all wondering, me, Kyrie, and others in the W Universe, what they're going to do with Neville. And should he go to the Cruiserweight division, and would that be best for him, and this and that. Then he comes back, then he has a heel turn, goes to the Cruiserweight division, has the King of the Cruiserweight gimmick that he's now, is the champion. and him being the best of the best, like him being true, #real, #fact, for Neville, and building up the Cruiserweight division, trying to on his dang own. Then you had Austin Aries and Neville and that great feud that they had for a little bit, and then WWE, for some reason, because they can, said Austin Aries, there's the door, get the step in. Maybe not exactly that way, but just, releasing him of his contract probably was Austin Aries. I think he even said in an interview that, he was right up with situations and things that, he wanted to just go and be free from WWE. The point being is then you had that, so that stopped that screeching halt, and now we get to the point of having Enzo Amore after they're split with Big Cass, wondering, okay, where is Enzo going to go? Enzo going into the Cruiserweight division, even as The Miz said, because there was no other place, a best place for WWE to put you in, because if they tried to keep you on Monday Night Raw and just as a singles competitor, you'd be lost in the shuffle and future endeavor at some point soon, and not saved by the fact that you're skinny your chin because of your merch sales, but actually because you just can't wrestle them as well as the others in WWE. Plus, there's other superstars that are on the mid card in WWE that deserves either a push or deserves something, like Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel individually. I mean, now they're part of the Miztourage, so they're not, singles competitors as of right now. I mean, it can be point being, maybe have them when they take the chance. But those guys and others, even Goldust, would be nice to have a nice run, maybe not a championship, but at least something before he leaves WWE or before he does retire, unless he said otherwise. I don't know. Obviously, I don't know him personally, but if that wasn't the case, then WWE maybe do something with Goldust. Wasn't he supposed to have a protege? Was he supposed to be finding somebody, and then he just randomly get his ass whooped by Bray Wyatt, which doesn't make sense because Bray Wyatt is setting up a feud or continuing a feud in the build-up to him facing Finn Balor, which probably will be happening at WWE No Mercy. How all these things intricately web and weave and shake out here in WWE and Raw. It's not an easy task being a WWE writer now, is it? With all these things that are in its own way kind of having to do with said other. Now, maybe I'm overanalyzing. Maybe I'm diving too in and rambling about it too much. But again, in my opinion, my show, and that's how I see it and how I feel about it all. And remember, I'm now talking about Bray Wyatt and Finn Balor feud when the topic was Enzo Amore and the Cruiserweight division. You see how my mind works, and you see how everything in WWE sometimes, whether fault of its own or otherwise, all intricately weave and web together from what I was talking about from Neville when he came and everything, and now heading into WWE No Mercy. So I start talking about Enzo in the Cruiserweight division, and I get all the way by hook or by crook, by however I got there, to Bray Wyatt and Finn Balor. Because in the end, Bray Wyatt and Finn Balor and their feud, and I like Neville here and Enzo Amore making no gosh darn sense. You have Finn Balor with the Demon Balor, or just plain Demon Balor, not the Demon, just Demon. They like to just have one word. But Demon Balor defeating Bray Wyatt at SummerSlam. Now we're going to have it at No Mercy, but we're going to have Club Balor at the pay-per-view because, hey, this isn't SummerSlam. This is now No Mercy. So we don't need Demon Balor. He's not that. He's special. But like I talked about before, we need to care and build up our other pay-per-views. Otherwise, people like me and Kyron and others will still say they're B+ pay-per-views. When in the end, I want every single pay-per-view to be A+. And I want WWE Creative to actually give a shit about their pay-per-views other than the Big 6 or Big 5. And I apologize for my swear word there, but it got me to a point there because I still believe and think and want these other pay-per-views that WWE has and puts, let alone any effort in, to be good. Good on paper, good when you're actually watching it. Big matches, not just, we're watching this pay-per-view for one match. One match is going to be the reason why we're buying the pay-per-view or getting the pay-per-view. Well, first off, people that buy pay-per-view still $9.99 WWE Network. Get it, please. Thank you. But for us to get to people to get the WWE Network to watch these other pay-per-views, have actual good card and good card from top to bottom, not just on your top, and not make it top heavy. Give a care. Want all your pay-per-views to do well. Not just your main 6. I know it's a long, grueling season. I know technically WWE season never ends. You don't have an off season like a major sports, whether it's talents, writers, workers, corporate office in a way, I guess. Maybe a little less there where they actually have vacations and other time for office workers. But point being is mostly for the talent and commentators and other things, workers at the events that travel with them. It's go 360 per year, 360 days, 365 days, 360 days, whatever it be on the road. And that is just how wrestling is. It's just how it is. I know, that was kind of a trying to sound something thing, but that is just part of the business. And if you want to be WWE, it's great as it is that you're being sometimes featured on television or not. You have the grueling other things of the traveling and everything like that. So in that sense, I want those pay-per-views to be cared about. I want them to be good. And heading into No Mercy, heading into specifically Bray Wyatt and Finn Balor, they're going to have a match. Probably going to see Bray win. I know I'm kind of spoiling already predictions for next week, but it just seems that's the way it's going to go. And I'm not going to give two cramps about it. I'll have it on because I'm watching the show and because, hey, I do this podcast each and every week or 2 reviews of the pay-per-view, so I'm going to care a little bit. People already know my opinion on Bray Wyatt overall, but specifically, even with that aside, talking about the feud. And again, we started with the topic being about Enzo in the Cruiserweight division, randomly now going to Bray Wyatt and Finn Balor. But back to Enzo in the Cruiserweight division, Enzo or WB, I implore you, if anybody from World Wrestling Entertainment is watching this, which I doubt, but if anybody is, if anybody sends the link to this video to a WB rep, Enzo, only way to win the championship at No Mercy, if that is the way you want to go, because, again, I understand that if that is to be because of how he's merch sales and otherwise, Miz Taraj to get involved. And even more so, to be quite honest, as I'm continuing to talk, and my gears still grinding, The Miz specifically being the one to help Enzo win the Cruiserweight Championship from Neville. Even after we saw on Monday Night Raw him parading Enzo and talking about how, Neville is holding his crap, being the best of the best, truly earning that gimmick of being the king of the Cruiserweights. Because A, he is the champion of the Cruiserweights, which i.e. makes you king of the Cruiserweights. And B, being the best technical wrestler and best performer that the Cruiserweight division has right now, again, my opinion, that is in WWE. Unless there's other Cruiserweight athletes or wrestlers that are under the weight of 205, that might be better out there from the indies that you may think could be able to challenge Neville for top of the Cruiserweight division in wrestling ability in its own right and stance. But like I said, I guess, again, I'm not bothered about Bray Wyatt and Finn Balor, but also, even more so, as I said, Enzo Amore. Like I said, if there is no Miz or Miz Taraj interaction and them helping him win the title that's at No Mercy and he just wins, then again, like I said, I will be a man of my word and have my words to say when we get to Sunday night in the review.
I'll be honest, I don't even. Yeah, I'm not sure how to respond. I will say I like him to get riled up because you don't hear it like usually everyone else. But it's pretty much everything. I pretty much agree with all you said about Enzo and Bray Wyatt and Finn Balor. And I like both of them. The feud, no matter who wins at No Mercy, the feud has to end there. And I do feel No Mercy does have potential to be one of the best shows of the year because they're kind of stacking it. With Cena and Reigns and Strowman and Lesnar, 2 matches that were pretty big. Who knows? I think the tag team match is going to become a fatal 4-way tag team match. And it sucks that Miz doesn't have a match. And the fatal 4-way women's match should be pretty good, too. But you pretty much said everything. That's all I had to say about everything you just said, though.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm kind of sorry about it because I was rambling about so many things and interweaving everything in there. So it's kind of hard to, where am I going to start to pick it apart or share your thoughts on my thoughts? So, again, that was kind of on me because I was rambling here on Steve's Wrestling Ramble about so many things and giving my opinion on strong opinion. Again, I don't do that a lot. And like I said, I try not to swear. It does happen ever so often. I try to keep it as PG as I can. But, hey, if people that are on my show, whether it's Josh or Chief Josh Ola, they're a host or a wrestling coordinator, part of TYT Sports, that he does have his 10:05 live reviews and shows every Tuesday night after the show, 10:05 Eastern, 9:05 Central time after the the SmackDown Live shows. But yeah, I did have a lot to say there about many things, and I did find it kind of interesting, even as you were kind of responding there, of how I got from Enzo to Bray Wyatt and Finn Balor. I might have to rewatch this and see how I even built that bridge to get to one to the other. But either way, I want to get here to the live chat. Palmer J. Simmons saying, "What's up?" So what's up, Palmer J? Hope all is well. Lapis Gamer, who's usually here each and every week, or almost all my videos, that does have to do with pro wrestling and even NFL. So I appreciate a little subscriber there. Lapis Gamer saying, "The Mae Young Classic is a great way to bring big names into NXT so the women's division can be stacked for the future." Also, Lapis saying, there was a vague rumor for Bray taking the human out of Finn Balor and having him join him, but that's one of the Balor rumors, and I don't believe it. I don't know exactly what that means, but thanks for the comment, and thanks for sharing here in the live chat. Again, thanks to those watching live, and we'll be watching archive. Otherwise, also I'd like to welcome here Josh, again, on Twitter at Chief Josh Shola, host of 1005 Live, not 205 Live, 1005 Live on Facebook for TYT Sports. And Daily DDT. He does articles there as well. Check him out. Follow him on the Twitter. How you doing, Josh?
Good, good. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you. Sorry I'm late. Had hang-ups and a bus full of nuns, all that kind of good stuff. But I'm here.
Yeah, I don't know if you were able to, with getting ready and stuff, able to hear any of my stuff or any of the things I was talking about. I was talking about a lot of stuff, and specifically Enzo Amore and the Cruiserweight division. I was saying to Kyron of how if Enzo Amore wins the WWE Cruiserweight Championship at No Mercy in any other way but the Miz, his dang self, or the Miz Taraj interfering and helping him win that WWE Cruiserweight Championship at WWE No Mercy, then I'm going to have words to say when I get to my No Mercy review. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think it really matters, and do you think there is any chance that actually specifically could happen at No Mercy?
I think there's a chance. I think, he's had an interesting last few months. I mean, with all the backstage stuff, all the rumors going around that he's really just a giant a-hole in real life and nobody really likes him. And that's part of the reason why he was kind of relegated and downgraded almost to 205 Live. But I think there's less of that than more of just, Big Cass getting hurt, because their split was one of the more interesting things that had happened to them over the recent months. I mean, they were a great team for a while, but the split felt natural. It didn't feel forced. It didn't feel as if that was necessary in order for one guy to succeed over the other, but it made the most sense at the time. So Big Cass getting hurt, unfortunately, also hurt Enzo, because that feud was going to be his springboard into something else. But I do think 205 Live is the best place for him. I think it's weird that he and John Cena now represent the only kind of free agents in the company who are moving between shows free will with absolutely no explanation as to why it's happening. I do think there will be some interference from the Miz Taraj. I don't know if they're going to kind of cause him to win or not to win, but I think it'd be foolish to think that they're not going to somehow insert themselves into that match.
Yeah, I agree. I just think that should be and that should be the only way him winning it. If he wins it any other way, like I said, I'm going to have some strong opinions on that, whether I should or not, whatever. But after and doing my review that night, I certainly be upset, because it wouldn't make, at least to me, sense for him to win that championship any other way but the Miz Taraj helping him win the championship. I mean, this would be crazy. I know there's other YouTubers that will have even stronger and actual, throwing things and swearing in their videos if Enzo Amore wins the title, period. But for me, I'm putting a little spin on it with saying, if it is any other way but the Miz Taraj and the Miz helping him, then I won't exactly like that booking decision of him going over Neville, the king of the cruiserweights, the best athlete, part of the cruiserweight division. I.e., that's why he is the current WWE Cruiserweight Champion. The other thing we got into, excuse me, Josh, was Bray Wyatt and Finn Balor feud. How I kind of found it was nonsense. With SummerSlam, you have Demon Balor coming there, being a special thing, Bray Wyatt, and now we head into No Mercy right after, and now we just get Club Balor, because hey, this isn't a main 5 pay-per-view. This is just No Mercy. Why should we care about our other pay-per-views like we should? But what are your thoughts on this feud heading into No Mercy? And for me, I just could care less.
I think they've done a poor job with this feud, as they have with the last few Bray Wyatt and Finn Balor feuds. The only thing that I think was a good moment was what we had recently with the promo before Bray Wyatt had his match against Goldust. and he was talking about how Goldust uses face paint to hide himself and tying that into Finn Balor's demon character. I thought at least that worked from a storyline perspective and gave me a little bit more of a reasoning as to why he would challenge him to a match that doesn't involve his face paint. But it's a little bit hypocritical because Bray Wyatt still comes in with the fireflies and the smoke and that whole persona of his. So he wants Bray Wyatt to fight stripped away from nothing, but yet he's still going to come with all his own pomp and circumstance. So when you dig a little deeper under the surface of it, it doesn't make any sense, I think. And ultimately, I think I judge a match by looking at the feud and saying, okay, does it matter who wins or loses? And in this case, no, it really doesn't. And that to me says that it hasn't been built up properly because there's no consequence. So if Bray Wyatt wins, well, then so what? It's not as if Finn Balor is going to become any less popular. It's not as if he's not eventually going to be pushed on the show. And the same with Bray Wyatt. If he loses, okay, then he loses again to Finn Balor. But that's still not going to – he's still going to act the same way because a loss has never affected the way his character interacts with other characters. So that's one of the matches that, to me, it's a bathroom break match because it doesn't have any consequence.
Exactly. Or for me, I just call it, getting a snack match or whatever. I know it's always called bathroom break, but for me, just getting a snack or whatever, I have it on background or even I mute it and doing other things. And again, it's not that I don't like or hate Bray Wyatt or Finn Balor. Trust me, I don't want people to think that. It's just that the feud, and as you even said, Josh, of how it's been built up and not being interesting. And like I said, for me, just having Demon Balor for SummerSlam, okay, I get it. It was SummerSlam. But then not to have that back for No Mercy, I think he's kind of the wrong way. Yeah, I know it's special. And I know have it for your big shows of the Big Six, Big Five, Big Four, whatever. But I think, again, WWE needs to start clearing and should. And sometimes they have periodically about their other pay-per-views other than the main ones there. Any other thoughts to you, Josh, as we were talking about and wrapping up here, actually talking about Monday Night Raw?
I thought it was interesting that for the first time, SmackDown's ratings were up, and that's completely attributed to Vince. But I'm sure we'll get into SmackDown here in a little bit. But I thought Raw was overall a solid show. I think we're going to see more solid shows from Raw, especially with Braun Strowman and Brock Lesnar fighting each other right at the 9 p.m. mark. That's not a coincidence because of Monday Night Football. And so WWE knows that from now, at least for the next few months, they're going to be directly competing with the number one sport in the United States. And they know that second hour is going to be key to keeping their viewers so that there's not a significant drop off in ratings. So look for them to do other kind of gimmicky things right around the 9 p.m. time slot.
Yeah, and especially when trickier with that first week with having the doubleheader for Monday night there for week one in the football season. And then then going forward, just a one game going up against WWE Monday Night Raw, the new Monday Night Wars, or has been for a while, Monday Night Wars between the NFL and WWE, at least rating wise in that sense, and NFL being the king, Neville being king of the cruiserweights, while the NFL being the king of sports for sure, and will, at least in my mind, always be. I know internationally it'll be football being soccer, but here in Estados Unidos in the United States, definitely is the NFL and pro football in that sense. But moving right along here to SmackDown Live, an awesome show, a show built and pretty much promoted like its own pay-per-view because it is a little bit till they have their pay-per-view event, not until the next month. I think it's October 4th or 6th. I think they have their pay-per-view Hell in a Cell. So they have a bit to go, a couple of SmackDown Live shows to go. But I want to throw it to both of you, the opening segment of SmackDown Live with Kevin Owens. Dolph Ziggler coming out there with Shane McMahon's music. I know they got me. I thought it actually was Shane McMahon coming out there and confronting him. And then I thought we were going to see Shane and Vince and Owens, all three in the ring at the end, at the main event segment. But nope, it was Dolph. It was Ziggles continuing doing his stick and his thing now. But what are your guys' thoughts on the opening segment with Kevin Owens, Dolph Ziggler, and also Daniel Bryan? Kyron?
Everything done with Kevin Owens on Tuesday is great. Not, I agree they did Stephanie. I thought it was Shane at first too. I thought they were going to do Shane, Vince, and Kevin in the ring at the same time. But I'm glad they didn't because it was different. Kevin started the show and he ended the show, and it never felt dragged out. Both segments Kevin was in worked perfectly. The beginning of and the promo how it's gonna be the Kevin Owens show to the time. I mean, his how he feels the show is gonna be now was good. But what happened with Vince at the end? That was honestly one of the most intense things I've seen WWE in a while. Not most, well, besides Braun Strowman. But the headbutt Vince took, it really cracked his head open. And him taking a kick in a front class, respect the Vince. He's 72-year-old. He's selling better than some people in the roster.
Yeah, that's true. Josh, what are your thoughts on the opening of the show?
I think same. SmackDown knew that they were going to have big ratings this week, mostly because of Vince McMahon being there. So I think opening it with Kevin Owens and that whole story arc of them making it in the Kevin Owens show. And I mean, the match itself, though, against Shane is not a surprise to me. And I don't want to give my hot takes on that yet, because I'm sure we'll actually get into that here in a little bit. But that itself wasn't a surprise. And I do commend Vince for selling what he'd sold as far as Kevin Owens, the beatdown. It's not very often that Vince McMahon puts himself in a vulnerable position the way he did here. And so that, to me, shows a lot of trust. It shows a lot of trust in Kevin Owens as a performer, as a wrestler, that he would put him in this position where he is made to look like a fool. And Vince just doesn't do that for anybody, because he's such an authoritarian figure, and that's his character. But if you notice that his past, he's only done that for wrestlers who he really felt confident about putting over, guys like Stone Cold, guys like The Rock, and even guys like Triple H. You know, these are all legendary superstars. So I'm not saying Kevin Owens is at that level yet, but if Vince McMahon has enough faith in him to put him in an angle where he's headbutting him and cracking his ribs and just making him look like not the Vince McMahon we're used to, then that says something.
Yeah, that was amazing to see Vince McMahon at his age, 74, 72, whatever age he is, taking a bump, especially that frog splash like move from the top rope from Kevin Owens. Like, just the headbutt itself was crazy to me, for his age, but to take that other big bump, a top rope bump, I mean, it shows, as he always has been, and he even has said in interviews and stuff like that, documentaries and WWE and stuff like that, and his own DVD, I think, Vince McMahon DVD that I do have. Should watch that sometime again. But anyways, him saying that, he wants to have his talent look at him, be like, Vince McMahon would do what he asked us to do, his bumps and moves and stuff like that, being in the way, quote unquote, crazy old man, and taking all these bumps, predator of the business. And even Triple H once brought up in a promo with CM Punk before their pay-per-view match a while ago about Vince McMahon, how he would sign this contract and get an ass kicking, but best for business, and I'm different though, sort of thing, pulling that in that storyline at that time. But I commend Vince for that, and I thought it, to be quite honest, I thought the only interaction there was going to be a pop-up power bomb. That was the bump he was going to take, not the headbutt, not the dive, just a simple pop-up power bomb. Owen gets pissed or something, or catches him off guard or whatever, or even with a handshake, instead of being the headbutt, it would just be throwing him for the pop-up power bomb. But that's where I thought they would go off the air that way. But it was amazing also to see Stephanie McMahon. As I said in my SmackDown Live review, I was surprised. Excuse me, I was surprised to see Stephanie there. And to me, in the kayfabe world here in the WWE Universe, our own little bubble, it made sense, obviously, because that's her father there. And she's there for the Minion Classic, right? The finals being live after SmackDown Live there. But she's still the commissioner of Monday Night Raw. So the commissioner of Monday Night Raw thrown up there on a SmackDown Live, which in the end, in the storyline, they're supposed to be battling each other, Shane versus Stephanie. Draw power in WWE sort of thing there, and that own little storyline that obviously hasn't been brought up because it's bigger thing within the plateau of each thing going on with WWE and with each individual show. So what are your thoughts on that, Stephanie McMahon showing up on, and that technically being a quote unquote return for her there, coming to the aid of her father?
Honestly, I would have preferred if it was Triple H, because and I understand why they didn't do it, because then the obvious question would have been, well, why isn't Triple H challenging Kevin Owens to a Hell in the Cell match, which I would much rather see. I don't want Shane anywhere near a ring. I think it's stupid. I think it's a waste of time. So that would have made more sense to me. But it's always a pleasure to see Stephanie back. Everybody. It's one of these things, both Stephanie and Triple H, and even Vince to an extent. People get sick of them. They hate their characters. They wish they would go away. Then they go away for a while, and people don't realize how much they miss them. And Seth Rollins was the same way. When he was a heel, people, he was over, but still people just were booing him. They didn't like him. Then he got hurt and comes back, and he comes back to this massive pop because you forget how great this person really is and what they brought to the performance. And the fact that they were able to sell their characters so well is a testament to how good they are. So I was happy to see Steph back, and I hope she's on next week too.
Yeah, like I said, it was only confusing or weird to me that the fact that she's still in the storyline, being the commissioner of Monday Night Raw, being on SmackDown Live. I guess to me, as a trivial thing in that, found it being its own little weird thing. But again, is her father, and that would being there for him, and that stare that that was interesting too, between her and Kevin Owens for
Trademark.
Sure. And I actually would have not liked it if it was Triple H coming out there. Not for the fact of what you brought up, Josh, about then it should be Triple H Kevin Owens match, but also in the sense that it'd be just a smarter way to have it, Stephanie, if you're going to have anybody coming out there. So as much as I just griped about it being her being commissioner of Raw and stuff like that, but it's better if you're going to have somebody coming out there, be it a quote-unquote true McMahon, Stephanie McMahon, blood family member, they're part of the McMahon family. Triple H obviously is family by marriage, but still have Stephanie coming out there in that way, in that sense, and building things up and still having the match being Shane O'Mac facing Kevin Owens at Hell in a Cell, not No Mercy, Hell in a Cell for SmackDown Live pay-per-view event. Certainly be interesting when we get to that point. And also other things going on SmackDown Live. Jinder Mahal, his segment with the Singh brothers. I think the Singh brothers were being a little bit extra in their reaction to what Jinder was saying and everything with mocking Shinsuke Nakamura, even though WWE anti-bully campaign. So anyways, it certainly was interesting in that segment. We'll get your guys' thoughts on that segment on its own with Jinder Mahal, WWE champion, modern day Maharaja. Kyron.
I think you can tell by looking on both Josh and my face what we thought about that segment. Let's be honest, it was god awful. Like I said when I tweeted about the only thing I like is the Same brothers over there, especially when they try to do 68 rope, when he rush the rope and he fell. That was pretty funny. But the stuff he had Jinder saying was dumb. And one thing someone said, we get tired of Jinder cutting the same promo. The same promo every time. I'll take that over what we got. The only thing I like, and I will give him credit, is when he said, Shinsuke, you want to be champion, but they're just going to turn on you because of how you look. I think that was a dip. It was kind of escape, how Jinder came at that. They're going to still turn on you. And a lot of people say, well, why didn't Shinsuke come out to, fight off Jinder and Singh brothers? I think it was best for Shinsuke that he did come out during that segment. Because I don't think he could have saved it.
Okay. Josh?
Well, I think, exactly what he was hitting on is that there's this fundamental misunderstanding I think that WWE has about the current state of the country, and I've hated for a while what they've been doing with Jinder Mahal's character and how they've turned him into this really weird, using xenophobia and all of that stuff to sort of be sort of drive his character forward. I thought that was a mistake from the get-go. I thought that that's not the direction they should have been going because, of what's happened in Charlottesville. I think they could have pivoted from that, but instead they just went full throttle into it and said, no, we're going to stick with it because that's just the way we want it to go. And then they did the same thing here with Shinsuke Nakamura. Now you're specifically mocking somebody's culture and being borderline offensive while you're doing it. And I get what they're trying to turn it on its head and say, no, see, we're doing it to expose your hypocrisy and all that stuff. Okay, but it's not working. I mean, that's not their job, and that's not what his character is supposed to do. I mean, I get it; they're doing it for the heel heat, but I just think this segment, along with Dolph Ziggler's segment, just completely fell flat.
Yeah, and the Dolph Ziggler thing. Yeah, that's the next thing to talk about, or the main thing. We'll talk about Dolph Ziggler and is continuing with this, doing other gimmicks, how their entrance is, which in its own self is cool. I know I like to do it on WWE video games with wrestlers and other people's entrances and stuff like that. But here in reality, part of this thing for Dolph, I still say that maybe it just continuing on and just he'll get to a point where he then is leaving. He won't re-sign WWE. He's just going to be going away. I know others thinking otherwise, and it just is about a few with somebody finally telling him to shut up or whatever, and actually him staying in WWE. But just the way it seemed like, just the way it's coming off, at least to me, that it's going to be the latter, and him going to be leaving, maybe not Future Endeavor, but asking to be released from WWE in sometime soon, maybe by the end of the year or end of the season. I'm sure he would still be in a WrestleMania at all on the card there in New Orleans, but then afterwards going away doing his own thing. So I want to get your guys' thoughts on Dolph Ziggler and any other things that you might want to or care to bring up that happened on SmackDown Live that was interest to you. Kyron?
I'm sorry, Steve. Can you repeat the question? Because I couldn't hear my brother yelling. What'd you say?
Yeah, Dolph Ziggler segment and everything, or what do you think that could be leading up to? And then also anything else you want to bring up that was interest to you from SmackDown Live that we haven't already discussed?
It's gonna lead to a feud with Bobby Roode. I'm pretty sure we all know that. And they need to stop using Ziggler to try to get NXT talents over because it really doesn't really work. Ziggler literally has no heat or momentum to play off of. I didn't really like the segment. I mean, you can tell Ziggler's trying. I'll give him that. He's trying hard to get this over, but no one cares. Ziggler hasn't been over since the feud with The Miz last year. And then, like I said earlier, around this time, he and Miz had that amazing feud that, that no match they had at No Mercy. That had me on the edge of my seat. But now, I don't care about Ziggler. And I like Rude, and when they eventually do the feud, it'll probably be a good match. But no one really is going to care.
Josh?
I'm going to go a little bit in a different direction. I would much rather see Dolph Ziggler feud with Sami Zayn. Both characters are floundering. They've kind of plateaued. Nobody's really sure what to do with them. And I mean, we're gonna definitely get a rehash of the will he or won't he leave that we've been getting with Dolph Ziggler since 2015, where even he teases the fact that he might leave the company. And honestly, if he did, okay, fine. I mean, he's 37 years old, so nobody's really looking at Dolph Ziggler and saying we need to push this guy because he needs to be a main eventer. And it's sad to say, but he is a great performer, but he's had his time. I look at him as somebody more like Cody Rhodes, where he's underappreciated in the company and he's really not being used, but another company could greatly benefit from his name and from his style. So he could walk in and be a superstar, be a main eventer on some other promotion, and that would be just fine. And it'd probably be the best thing for him. But at least for now, I don't think they should waste Bobby Roode on him. I would preferably like to see Bobby Roode jumping right into the IC title match or something like that. Because, you know, if you want to establish him as a big star, then don't waste his time going squash matches. It's the same thing with Asuka. Don't put Asuka in these matches against nonsense opponents and say that she has to earn her due. She should enter the Raw roster with a chip on her shoulder, carrying all those titles like skulls, and say, you know, and all the records that she broke in NXT. She should walk into the Raw roster and say, I'm the new person in charge. Whose ass do I have to kick immediately? And just go straight to the top if they want to push her that way. And I think they should, because that's the type of competitor she is. And Bobby Roode's the same way. He's an instant star. He's incredibly popular. And if you play the same game you played with a couple other NXT guys like Tyler Breeze, like Fandango, like the Ascension, then people are going to stop caring. And all of that momentum is going to die. And you need to put them into something high profile. So at least as far as Ziggler's concerned, I think Sami Zayn would be a fantastic opponent for him. And I think they'd have great matches together.
I want to respond to what she said, Josh, about Asuka.
Yeah.
If they screw Asuka up, I'm going to probably be more mad than I was with Bayley. And anyone remembers how angry I was with Bayley, you know, when I streamed Ruthless You, one of my best tirade ever. I already think they're kind of doing it wrong with Asuka. I would not even announce her coming to Raw. I would have left it like in suspense. Like, we know she's coming up, but when is she gonna come out? When's she gonna come out? And when she does, she attacks someone like Sasha or like someone did. Like, that instantly gives her credibility. Like, we already know her credibility, but the people who don't know, they see her attack Sasha Banks or Alexa Bliss on her first night. Wow, this one must be a big deal, you know, to the casual fans. And I would not have Asuka even say a word, like, because, you know, just like Nakamura, you know, her language barrier is going to be hard for her to cut promos. So I wouldn't have Asuka really talk that much. I would have her, you know, come in, destroy some people, and leave for a while before she even works her first match. I wouldn't have her work her first match within maybe her first, like, on the main roster, just see how that works out. Don't have her say work, just have beat some women up. Because you know that'll get over. Look at Braun Strowman. That's just what I would do.
I mean, I think they've already screwed up her Asuka's entrance by putting her on Raw in the first place. I think that Raw is the absolute worst place for her to go because it's a numbers game. There's 11 women on the Raw roster. There's only 7 on SmackDown. So you're going to put her in the middle of, she's just going to become one of many on Raw. And so if you are going to push Asuka as a main eventer, it's going to happen at the expense of someone else. Whereas on SmackDown, she could have jumped right into a feud that's really not that important. I mean, that nobody's really jumping at the SmackDown women's division as something really great. And I think a match against Alexa Bliss could have benefited us because I just don't want to see another match with Sasha Banks. I mean, it's happened already. It's happened numerous times. I don't want to see that movie again. So in my opinion, they've already screwed that up.
Yeah, and for me, I think the reason why they're going to have Asuka on that Raw over SmackDown Live is because they want to hold on, whether for WrestleMania this year or SummerSlam then in 2018, the Barclays, of having a Charlotte Flair versus Asuka match. What they could do is have Asuka win the Raw Women's Championship, quick, fast, and in a hurry, because she should be able to dominate all of them, even Nia Jax. They're on the Raw roster. She has it in a couple matches in NXT, being proof there. Go check it out, WWE Network. But have her win the Raw Women's Championship. Charlotte at some point, obviously, to win here shortly. SmackDown Live Women's Championship. And again, whether it's now or they plan this later on or whenever they decide that they want to end the brand extension, brand split, whatever, and go back to one title, one champion, everything else, and titles are being unified again and merged and stuff like that for all the titles. Then you could have an Asuka Charlotte Flair one-on-one match, and that match almost in itself, even though it probably wouldn't, but would be worthy. And let's have a match with those two superstars, the two best in the business in the women's division, in women's wrestling and professional wrestling in totality, would deserve to be the main event of WrestleMania at that said WrestleMania, whenever that said WrestleMania, to be that said WrestleMania, for them to have that match, to unify the women's championships and being one women's championship moving forward like that. Even with other storylines and WWE titles and that other unifications, that's what the whole WrestleMania would be built around in that WrestleMania, whatever that to be. Still, I would believe that Asuka versus Charlotte Flair, those two competitors, I think would be and should be and could be a main event, and that being the last checklist, the last thing to check off in the women's revolution in WWE.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of Nia Jax, and I think that Asuka coming to Raw is just going to completely derail the push that she looks to be getting. She's doing great things off of WWE, outside of WWE, with charities and being on fashion shows and stuff like that. And that's what WWE likes to see out of their stars. They want to see them being goodwill ambassadors outside of the ring. And unfortunately, even if she were to win, at No Mercy, then it's going to be short-lived because they're going to immediately want to make Asuka into a star, and she's going to show up in October. So it's going to be a short-lived reign for Nia Jax if it even happens at this point.
Yeah, and then the don't right would be kind of bad because I would like to see Nia actually have a good reign, let the championship however long, at least a couple of months, then jump into however, maybe even if it would be Asuka, if that to be the case. I think it would have been interesting, and I know as a SmackDown guy that I am, Team Blue, that would have liked to have Asuka over there on SmackDown. But again, like I said, I think the reasoning that she isn't, and they decided to go on Raw was Raw's their flagship, Asuka, the undefeated streak, and this and that, have her on your quote-unquote A show. And also then like I said, holding off for Asuka and Charlotte Flair to face each other in either unification title match or just in a Raw versus SmackDown one-on-one match between the two brands, having Asuka versus Charlotte. Even if they are champions, and it's not a unification match, it's just champion versus champion at the SummerSlam or at a Survivor Series, at whatever moving forward at that point in time. But certainly will be interesting in that sense. So I think that pretty much does it, at least for the talk of SmackDown Live. Here in the chat, Lavish Gamer had some rumors individual wanted to share with us, so I'll just share all of them here in the comment section, here in the live chat. Thanks for everybody that is interacting there. saying the Mae Young Classic finalists had changed from Kairi Sane and Toni Storm to a WWE Star Tuesday because Shayna Baszler was on the WWE's radar and WWE wanted her over Toni. Also, some of the fashion files that could be canceled, and if they're not, there may be rivalry with Colognes facing off against Breezango. New Day will be without Kofi for a bit, and Emma isn't getting pushed. WWE put her in the spot because Asuka got called up too late to join the four-way. So there's just rumors and her opinions on some things. Just wanted to share them all since you did, or the individual that took time to put that in the comment section here in the live chat. Just want to get you guys' thoughts on any of that stuff that was brought up by Lapis Gamer. First, we'll go over to Kyron.
I thought that for one, about the Mae Young Classic, I didn't even watch it besides the finals, which I tweeted about. I haven't seen any match besides the finals, and the final was really good. Even though I knew almost nothing about it, I knew Kairi Sane was going to end up winning. I knew she was going to win the tournament because I've heard so much about her from a lot of different people. So I have said she's going to probably win the tournament. And the match is pretty good, but I'll probably rewatch most of the tournament to see some of that more development, the matches that a lot of other good matches. So yeah, I'm going to rewatch the tournament, but I did like the finals, the match for the finals.
Okay, and Josh.
I mean, I thought the whole thing was entertaining. If for no other reason than to give us some different names and different faces than what we've been used to over the last few months or even few years for women in WWE, I thought it was a fantastic idea, and I think it's a real testament to how far women have come. I mean, yeah, it's not perfect. There's still plenty of criticism around the women's division. There's still a lot of ways they can improve, but the fact that they have an entire tournament just for themselves and that's named after one of the greatest and most influential women's wrestlers of all time, that's a big deal. And people shouldn't just write that off as they're just appeasing women. No, they're devoting a significant amount of time, effort, and money into this. And more than a few of these women are going to end up on Raw and SmackDown and become stars. And that's something that we should be looking forward to.
And one other news item that I saw here, actually here on Facebook, the 434, to give their props, is that according to Cage-Side Seats, reporting that from Cage-Side Seats, WWE officials are already planning a second Mae Young Classic tournament or to have a tag team tournament to be released and to be happening in 2018. So we are kind of talking about the Mae Young Classic. What are you guys' thoughts on having another Mae Young Classic in 2018, or if not another Mae Young Classic, having a tag team tournament in WWE? Seems like WWE wants to have tournaments each and every year. I don't have a problem with it. I enjoy tournaments as much as I enjoy multi-superstar matches, and I have a love fest for. So I have no problem with it, but I just want to get your guys' thoughts on, you want a second Mae Young Classic or want a tag team tournament in 2018? Kyrie?
If they do another Mae Young Classic, the only thing I would ask is to change the commentary. Well, I think Jim Ross, the greatest commentator of all time, he and Lita were not a good team up. So if they do another Mae Young Classic, at least change the commentary up. I mean, look at the Cruiserweight Classic. Mauro and Daniel were great at commentary. I thought the commentary on this tournament was less than.
All right, Josh?
I think they can actually get the best of both. If you want to have another Mae Young Classic tournament for singles competitors, then absolutely go for it. But you can also showcase these women in a different way. Put them on the pre-show for WrestleMania. If you really, really want to give them a big stage to perform, but you don't want to spend too much time and effort on it, then put them on the pre-show. You're at least giving them a part of WrestleMania, and they're being exposed to a large audience, and you're putting them. I mean, WrestleMania is already 7 hours long, so why not at least give us something different? Unless you want to give them a match during the actual show, which I'd be all about too. But at the very least, put them on the pre-show and let them actually wrestle in front of a live crowd, and probably the largest crowd they've ever been in front of.
Yeah, well, I enjoyed the Mae Young Classic. I kind of had to binge watch because I had missed watching in each episode piece by piece. So I binge watched before we got to the finals and watching over. First, I binge watched just to get caught up. Then I watched the whole thing again, all these episodes, to actually enjoy it. Get my critiques, see how these talent do in WWE ring and in their matches in the rounds. But I enjoy what I would want for tournaments, and it probably won't happen, but kind of a wish list would be to have and see if this would actually be able to happen. Is they're having these tournaments live, actual shows each and every week. You get more buzz for it, intrigue each and every week to watch. As you think they do each and every week with your Raws and SmackDowns, depending on how they go, booked each week. The point being is a tournament, and specifically if you have another Mae Young Classic, there's still tons and tons of other talented women out there. One of them that I did interview, the whole indie star in England. That would be great to be part of the Mae Young Classic. If they do so decide to go with another one in 2018, another Mae Young Classic, hopefully she gets the call to be part of it and part of that or any other future one. But I would say that for me as a small thing, would be nice to have these as live shows, as weekly shows or whatever shows, whenever they can accommodate, all that logistics and other things that reasoning of why things are taped. Things are the way that they are. But just for me as a fan, my individual preferences being of that would be nice. Because I think it would be able to garner more interest from the fans watching each week, and also the non-spoiling people out there as well. But beyond that, the intrigue and unknown and predicting each week how well, now what do we think round 2 and looking at the brackets and look at what matchup we could get next week or next month if it's whatever, if they even spread out longer to be able to do them live shows. However, it would just be nice in that way, at least in my opinion, in that way, if they were able to. I know that probably might not come true, but just for me, that would be nice because, like I said, it would be getting more fans, and you get even more interest in the Mae Young Classic specifically, let alone if this idea came to any other tournament, period, moving forward for WWE, from the WWE Universe, and getting to know these women and the talents that are coming to WWE for this and these tournaments that WWE are providing to us, and showing us on the WWE Network. So you still have it on the network. People are to get the network to be able to watch it, and you have them live in weekly, maybe even on a Wednesday night, right? There's no football. There's no other WWE show. Now, if they had it live, where would they do it? I guess maybe that way. Or they do it in the NXT arena for the weekly shows. And anyways, if they do go live and have them on Wednesdays and have that kind of for us, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Otherwise, so I would think, then again, they already do with NXT, but point being is having that and that being a possibility, and that being something I would like to see for the Mae Young Classic or for any tournament moving forward. But either way, I did enjoy the Mae Young Classic for what it is. The last newest thing item here to leave us tonight with this episode here, I wanted to bring up Big Cass commenting on who helps backstage. Big Cass, who's out for a long while. I mean, he's been out long enough that I know some have already forgotten about him, I guess. Whenever I get the chance, I try to talk to Kane or Big Show and ask for pointers and tips. As a fellow big man, it's always nice to get feedback on how I can improve. Undertaker is another guy that whenever he's backstage, I ask for help. He's like the godfather of the locker room and is willing to help out. Whenever he's around, I try to pick his brain and talk to him and listen to his advice. He's the Undertaker. When he talks, you listen. So what are you guys' thoughts on Big Cass's comments and those that are helping him out, that he goes out of his way to ask for advice for his career, that I do see big things for it, even more so if he didn't get injured, obviously. Josh?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's smart to give props to guys like The Undertaker and recognize that there are backstage veterans who he should be listening to. And I think it's nice to see that he's being so respectful to the veterans and stuff like that. But at the same time, it's like, well, yeah, what do you expect? You don't expect a relatively young superstar to just say, no, I'm good. I know what I need to know, and I don't really care about what they have to say, because if anyone was to say that, they probably wouldn't last very long. I know the days of the wrestlers' courts are gone, but there's still a lot of there's enough old school guys back there who can set somebody straight if they need to be set straight.
Kyron?
I actually like that about Cass, the fact that, he goes to, legends for the advice. That's how I feel like it should be. You join, it's like in sports, you join a new team, you might spend time around one of the main captains of the team you're going to learn from. For example, you're a backup quarterback for the New England Patriots, you're going to want to learn and talk to Tom Brady all the time. If you're a player on the Cleveland Cavaliers, you're going to want to talk to LeBron James a lot. That's just how it, I respect that about him. I feel there's still some things I need to improve on. So let me go ask the legends who have done it and done it better than me, especially Undertaker, who's arguably the greatest wrestler of all time. So I respect that about Cass.
Right. Yeah, I just wanted to bring that up as a final news item, at least on my end. News item here in WWE. Like I said, now with me doing Raw reviews on Monday and then the SmackDown Live reviews an hour after, because I host a SmackDown Live show also on Talking WWJ. Again, people are welcome to check out that channel here on YouTube, Talking WWJ, and follow that show on Twitter at Talking WWE with just a little J. But I do that first at 9 o'clock, and then at 10 o'clock Central, I do my own review here on this channel. So for Steve's Wrestling Ramble, it's now coming in a way, others share, like, here tonight, and then talk about the news and notes and other things. So if you guys, again, I know I'm throwing this out of nowhere and, being its own surprise, but if you guys have any news, notes, things, whatever you want to bring to the table here before we leave and say adieu, or say now or forever hold. Kyron.
I don't have anything else to say in terms of news or any rumors. I'm good.
Okay, good. Josh?
For me, just appreciate you giving me the opportunity to show up here tonight and join you guys, and then giving me the shout out here right at the beginning for my show on Tuesday nights at 10:05 live at 10:05 p.m. Eastern time on Facebook Live. I put out the link. TYT Sports is the actual organization that gives me the platform to do that show, and they really enjoy the format just because anybody can log on and make their opinions heard. It's not just me talking for an hour. It's anybody and everybody who wants to join in and throw out some hot takes and then leave. They can do that. They just want to drop a pipe bomb in and then bounce. That's cool too. So I sincerely appreciate everybody who comes in and does that. And I know all of you guys help support everybody and all the stuff that we're doing for pro wrestling, and that's really cool.
Exactly. And that's the way a show should be. So the way that Josh does it over there for TYT Sports. Being able to, especially when I did this, I've done this for years now, and most of the time, obviously, I did it by myself. So sometimes shows were something boring because there wasn't so much to talk about. But if you have people there in the live chat or even on the show, like I have here tonight, making it not just more entertaining, but having other voices and other people's opinion on same topics, like Kyron and Josh here, in my opinion, strong opinion. Then again, Josh wasn't here first originally when I was making those opinions, but on Enzo Amore and the Cruiserweight division and everything heading into No Mercy, and how I somehow built a bridge and talked all the way to getting to Bray Wyatt and Finn Balor when the topic was Enzo Amore still, and stuff like that. So that's why hopefully people come here. People come here from Josh's show, from other channels, from other people, because us as a community should be more together than against each other and bashing each other. We should be, at least to the extent that we want to. Again, that's all individual, up to them. Letting people know about these other shows and other things, because it helps each other. And in total, as a wrestling community on YouTube or just in general on Twitter and otherwise in social media, being a better community, stronger community. Because in the end, we all are pro wrestling fans. Whether we agree or disagree strongly on some opinions and some topics, that's fine. But at least here at Steve's Wrestling Ramble and here at Sports Talk Network at this channel here on YouTube, I respect everybody's opinion. And even disagreeing makes for a great and respectful debate. And I welcome anybody to join in the conversation for any of my shows, wrestling-wise, Raw review, SmackDown review, Steve's Wrestling Ramble, and maybe even other random videos that I throw up because of breaking news, something that I couldn't wait, or something that happens on Friday that's a breaking news, and I don't want to wait all the way to next Thursday to talk about it. So sometimes that happens as well here on this channel and for this podcast. So I appreciate Josh being here tonight, and whatever else in the future being able to be on here. Also, Kyron, my co-host. I know he's busy with school, but hopefully we'll see him next week, because next week, boys and girls, men and women, WWE No Mercy prediction episode is that time already for the predictions, and then 2 weeks later, Hell in the Cell for SmackDown Live exclusive. So I think everybody that watched live and archive, let their Josh and Kyron put themselves over. We'll start with our guest, the honorary guest, Josh.
No, nothing else for me. No, I was just happy to be here, man. I really appreciate it.
Very good. Again, we'll follow him on Twitter at Cheech. Check him out again each and every week, Tuesday nights, 10:05 live, 10:05 Eastern, 9:05 Central. And after the show goes off the air on Facebook, TYT Sports. Kyron.
First off, our prayers and then go out to everyone in Florida, especially our good friend Katrina the Good. Follow me on Twitter, /Bro Kyron, Instagram /_Kyron, Tumblr Kyron Chase, DeviantArt Kyron Chase. My YouTube channel is also Kyron Chase. I do videos on wrestling, Sonic the Hedgehog, My Little Pony Adventures Magic, and from time to time I do reaction videos. And hopefully, and like Steve said, with school happening now, it's not gonna be as easy for me to be on the show as I usually was. But hopefully, I will be here next week for the No Merch predictions.
Yes, hopefully to have you. Again, on Twitter at Chief Joshua, having Josh back. Also, Mounty's Corner might be here. I might have the gang back, Jaden Steele, or have the guy to see even put it. The boys on the show. Blue X Demon X, who was on the prediction show for SummerSlam. Maybe even Jeff, or as he's known on YouTube, the Schleg Daddy. Jeff of OTRS Central, part of this. So I might have another big episode next week. We'll see. When we get to that point, obviously, next Thursday. Again, thanks to everybody watching live. Those that will be watching archive when the video is posted. Stay safe. And again, my thoughts and prayers out to Katrina. Follow her on Twitter at Katrina the Good. Get updates on how she's doing. She did say that she got power recently, so that's good. And glad to hear that was the most major thing being the issue. Her and her husband and family are all right. They're alive. They're well in that sense. And them, like many other families, just bring a bit of life back together there, just as much as in Texas after Hurricane Harvey. But as always, take care.
Peace out.
Peace.